Have you ever felt like your energy is fading faster than it used to? Maybe you wake up in the morning and instead of feeling refreshed, you're already reaching for that second cup of coffee just to get through breakfast. Or perhaps you find yourself sitting down more often than you'd like, not because you want to, but because your body feels too tired to keep going. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond struggle with chronic fatigue. It's something I know all too well. I was one of them. At 72, I hit a wall. My energy levels were so low that even simple tasks felt overwhelming. But here's the good news. I found a way to turn things around, and I'm not the only one. In this video, we'll explore how I reversed my chronic fatigue and share 5 lessons from real seniors who did the same. These aren't just stories. They're practical steps you can take to start feeling better today. Before we dive in, let me tell you why this matters so much. Energy isn't just about being able to do more, it's about living fully. When you have energy, you can enjoy time with your family, pursue hobbies, and feel confident in your daily life. Without it, everything feels harder, and life can start to lose its sparkle. That's why I want to share these lessons with you. They're simple, actionable, and, most importantly, they work. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to boost your energy and reclaim your vitality. So let's get started with the first lesson. The first thing I learned, and this might surprise you, is the importance of movement. Now I know what you're thinking. I'm already exhausted. How am I supposed to move more? Trust me, I've been there. For years, I thought rest was the answer. If I was tired, I figured I needed more sleep or more downtime. But what I didn't realize is that too much rest can actually make you feel worse. Our bodies are designed to move, and when we stop moving, we start losing strength and stamina. That's where small, consistent movement comes in. You don't need to run marathons or spend hours at the gym. Instead, focus on gentle activities that fit your lifestyle. Walking, stretching, or even dancing to your favorite music can make a big difference. Take Margaret, for example. She's 74 and used to feel wiped out by noon every day. Her doctor suggested she try walking for just 10 minutes a day. At first, Margaret wasn't sure it would help, but she gave it a shot. She started with short walks around her neighborhood, and over time, she built up to 30 minutes. What happened next amazed her. Not only did she have more energy, but she also noticed improvements in her mood and sleep. Margaret's story shows us that movement doesn't have to be complicated or exhausting. It just has to be consistent. And the best part? You can start small. Even a few minutes a day can set you on the path to feeling better. Now, let's talk about another key lesson: nutrition. This one is close to my heart because it made such a big difference for me. When I was struggling with fatigue, I didn't pay much attention to what I was eating. I figured as long as I wasn't gaining weight, I was doing okay. But food is fuel, and if you're not giving your body the right fuel, it's no wonder you're feeling sluggish. One of the biggest changes I made was focusing on whole, nutrient-dense foods. Think fresh fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, and healthy fats. These foods give your body the vitamins and minerals it needs to function at its best. I remember meeting a man named Harold at a community center. He was 78 and had battled chronic fatigue for years. Like me, he realized his diet was part of the problem. Harold decided to cut back on processed foods and sugary snacks, which left him feeling drained after the initial energy spike. Instead, he started incorporating more whole grains, nuts, and leafy greens into his meals. Within weeks, he noticed a shift. His energy levels became more stable, and he didn't experience those mid-afternoon crashes anymore. Harold's experience taught me that small changes in what we eat can lead to big improvements in how we feel. And the best part? You don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Start by swapping out one unhealthy snack for a healthier option, like an apple or a handful of almonds. Over time, those small changes add up. At this point, you might be wondering, what about sleep? Isn't that important too? Absolutely, and that's where we're headed next. Sleep plays a crucial role in restoring our energy, but many seniors struggle with getting quality rest. It's not just about the number of hours you sleep, it's about how well you sleep. Let's talk about some strategies that can help you improve your sleep and wake up feeling more refreshed. See, the journey to reversing chronic fatigue isn't about making drastic changes all at once. It's about taking small, manageable steps that fit into your life. Movement and nutrition are two powerful tools, but they're just the beginning. As we continue, we'll explore how sleep, stress management, and mindset can further support your energy levels. Stick with me, because what we're about to cover next could be the missing piece you've been looking for. Let's talk about sleep, because if you're not sleeping well, it doesn't matter how much you move or how healthy you eat, your energy levels will still suffer. I used to think that as we age, poor sleep was just something we had to accept. You know, waking up multiple times during the night or feeling groggy in the morning seemed like part of getting older. But here's the truth. While our sleep patterns may change as we age, poor sleep isn't inevitable. In fact, there are simple steps you can take to improve the quality of your rest and wake up feeling more refreshed. One of the most important things I learned is the value of a consistent sleep schedule. Going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, even on weekends, helps regulate your body's internal clock. At first, this felt a little rigid to me. I was used to staying up late, watching TV or reading, and then sleeping in when I felt like it. But once I committed to a routine, I noticed a difference almost immediately. My body started to anticipate sleep, and falling asleep became easier. I also made my bedroom a sanctuary for rest. No phones, no bright lights, just a calm, quiet space dedicated to sleep. These small changes might seem insignificant, but they add up to better rest and, ultimately, more energy during the day. I met a woman named Evelyn who shared a similar story. At 76, she struggled with insomnia for years. She would lie awake for hours, her mind racing with worries about everything from family to finances. Then one day she decided to try a bedtime routine. Every night she'd turn off all screens an hour before bed, drink a cup of chamomile tea, and spend 10 minutes journaling her thoughts. Evelyn said this practice helped her unload her mind so she could relax. Over time, she started falling asleep faster and staying asleep longer. Her energy during the day improved, and she even found herself laughing more and enjoying life again. Evelyn's story reminds us that sleep isn't just about closing your eyes. It's about creating habits that signal to your body that it's time to rest. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about stress. You might be wondering, what does stress have to do with chronic fatigue? The answer is a lot. Stress takes a toll on your body, draining your energy and leaving you feeling wiped out. Think about it, when you're stressed, your mind is constantly on high alert and your body is working overtime to keep up. Over time, this can lead to exhaustion. That's why managing stress is such a crucial part of boosting your energy. For me, learning to manage stress was a game changer. I used to carry the weight of the world on my shoulders, worrying about everything from health issues to household chores. It wasn't until I discovered mindfulness that I realized how much of my energy was being sapped by unnecessary stress. Mindfulness doesn't have to mean sitting cross-legged and meditating for hours. It's simply about being present in the moment. For example, I started taking a few minutes each day to sit quietly and focus on my breathing. It sounds simple, but it helped me feel calmer and more centered. Over time, I noticed that I wasn't as reactive to stressful situations, and I had more energy to tackle challenges head-on. I want to share another inspiring story with you. This one is about a man named Robert. At 81, Robert was dealing with chronic fatigue and constant stress. He was caring for his wife who had dementia, and he often felt overwhelmed. A friend suggested he try deep breathing exercises to help him relax. Skeptical but willing to try anything, Robert started practicing deep breathing for 5 minutes a day. He'd sit in a comfortable chair, close his eyes, and take slow, deliberate breaths. To his surprise, he found that these short sessions helped him feel more grounded and less anxious. As his stress levels decreased, his energy levels began to rise. Robert told me that he now looks forward to those moments of peace, and he feels more equipped to handle whatever comes his way. His story shows us that managing stress doesn't have to be complicated. It's about finding tools that work for you and making them a regular part of your routine. As we move forward, let's talk about the role of mindset in reversing chronic fatigue. This is such an important piece of the puzzle, and it's one that many people overlook. How we think about our energy and our ability to improve it can have a profound impact on how we feel. If you believe that low energy is just a natural part of aging, you might unconsciously limit yourself. But what if you shifted your perspective? What if you started believing that you have the power to make changes, no matter your age? When I first started my journey, I had to confront some limiting beliefs of my own. I thought, I'm 72, this is just how it's going to be. But as I began to see improvements in my energy levels, I realized that my mindset played a big role in my progress. I started focusing on what I could do instead of what I couldn't. For example, instead of saying, I'm too tired to walk today, I'd say, even a 5-minute walk will make me feel better. This shift in thinking gave me the motivation to take action, even on days when I didn't feel like it. And guess what? Those small actions added up over time. There's a woman named Clara whose story perfectly illustrates the power of mindset. At 79, Clara was diagnosed with a chronic condition that left her feeling exhausted all the time. Her doctor told her there wasn't much she could do about it, but Clara refused to accept that. She decided to take control of her health by setting small, achievable goals. Instead of focusing on how far she had to go, she celebrated each tiny victory along the way. Whether it was cooking a healthy meal or spending 10 minutes outside, Clara approached every task with a sense of purpose and positivity. Over time, her energy levels improved, and she regained a sense of independence she thought she'd lost forever. Clara's story teaches us that our mindset can either hold us back or propel us forward. It's up to us to choose. By now, we've covered some powerful lessons. The importance of movement, nutrition, sleep, stress management, and mindset. Each of these elements plays a vital role in reversing chronic fatigue and reclaiming your vitality. But there's one more piece to the puzzle, and it's something that ties everything together. Let's talk about consistency, the secret ingredient that turns small changes into lasting results. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means showing up day after day and doing the best you can. Some days will be easier than others, and that's okay. The key is to keep moving forward, even if it's just one step at a time. As we wrap up this conversation, I'll share how consistency has been the backbone of my journey and how you can apply it to yours. Trust me, this final lesson might just be the most important one yet. Let's talk about consistency, because without it, all the other steps we've discussed, movement, nutrition, sleep, stress management, and mindset, are like puzzle pieces that haven't quite come together. Consistency is what turns those individual actions into a lifestyle, and it's what creates lasting change. I know this might sound daunting at first, but hear me out. It's not about doing everything perfectly every single day. It's about showing up, even in small ways, and letting those efforts compound over time. Let me explain why this matters so much and how you can make it work for you. When I first started making changes to reverse my chronic fatigue, I was eager to see results right away. I wanted to feel better yesterday. But the truth is, real progress takes time. At first, I felt frustrated when I didn't notice immediate improvements. Then, one day I realized something important. It wasn't about the big leaps. It was about the tiny, consistent steps I was taking every day. For example, instead of trying to walk for an hour when I barely had the energy to stand, I committed to just 5 minutes of walking each day. Some days that's all I could manage, and that was okay. Over time, those 5-minute walks turned into 10 minutes, then 20, and eventually I was walking for 30 minutes or more. The key was sticking with it, even when it felt hard or when I didn't see results right away. I want to share a story about a man named Walter that really drives this point home. Walter was 75 when he decided to take control of his health. He had struggled with low energy for years and felt like he'd tried everything without success. What made Walter's approach different was his focus on consistency. Instead of jumping into an intense exercise routine or completely overhauling his diet overnight, he chose one small habit to focus on each month. The first month he committed to drinking more water. The second month he added a daily 10-minute walk. By the end of the year, Walter had built a solid foundation of healthy habits, and the results were undeniable. His energy levels soared, and he told me he felt like a new person. Walter's story shows us that transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens through steady, intentional effort. Now let's talk about how you can apply consistency to your own life. One of the most effective strategies I've found is to tie new habits to things you already do every day. For example, if you want to drink more water, Place a glass next to your toothbrush so you remember to hydrate after brushing your teeth. If you're trying to move more, take a short walk after meals. It's easier to stick with when it becomes part of your routine. Another tip is to celebrate small wins along the way. Did you manage to eat 2 servings of vegetables today? That's worth acknowledging. Celebrating these little victories keeps you motivated and reminds you that every step counts. Of course, there will be days when life gets in the way, and that's perfectly normal. Maybe you miss a workout or indulge in a treat you hadn't planned on eating. When this happens, don't beat yourself up. Just start again the next day. Progress isn't linear, and setbacks are part of the journey. What matters most is that you keep going. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about being. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. Reversing chronic fatigue isn't just about feeling more energized. It's about reclaiming your life. It's about having the energy to enjoy the moments that matter most. Whether that's playing with your grandkids, pursuing a hobby, or simply savoring a quiet morning with a cup of tea. The seniors I've shared stories about today didn't let their age define them. They took action, and so can you. Small changes, when done consistently, can lead to big transformation. Before we go, I'd love to hear from you. Have you tried any of the strategies we talked about today? Or maybe you have your own tips for boosting energy that you'd like to share. Drop a comment below. I read every single one and I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. We're here to support you on your journey to better health and happiness, no matter your age. Here's to living your best life. One step, one meal, and one peaceful night's sleep at a time. You've got this, and I'm cheering you on every step of the way. Thank you for spending this time with me, and remember, it's never too late to make a change. Here's to feeling stronger, healthier, and more vibrant than ever before. Now, let's talk about something that might surprise you: resilience. When we think about reversing chronic fatigue or improving our health, resilience might not be the first thing that comes to mind. But here's the truth. Resilience is what helps us stay the course when things get tough. It's what keeps us going on days when we don't feel like moving, when our energy levels dip, or when life throws us a curveball. And trust me, those days will come. They're part of the journey. But the good news is resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you can build over time. I learned this lesson the hard way. There were days during my own journey when I felt like giving up. Maybe I didn't sleep well the night before, or I was dealing with aches and pains that made it harder to stay active. On those days, it was tempting to throw in the towel and go back to old habits. But then I reminded myself of why I started this journey in the first place. For me, it wasn't just about having more energy, it was about being able to live fully and enjoy the moments that matter most. That sense of purpose kept me going even when the road felt bumpy. Let me tell you about a woman named Ruth who taught me so much about resilience. At 80, Ruth had been through more than her fair share of challenges. She'd battled health issues, lost loved ones, and faced setbacks that would have left many people feeling defeated. Yet, she approached life with a spirit of determination and joy that inspired everyone around her. One day, I asked her how she stayed so positive, despite everything she'd been through. Her answer was simple but profound. I focus on what I can control, and I let go of the rest. Ruth knew she couldn't change certain things about her health or her circumstances, but she could choose how she responded to them. She chose to focus on gratitude, to celebrate small victories, and to keep moving forward no matter what. Ruth's story reminds us that resilience isn't about avoiding difficulties. It's about finding ways to thrive in spite of them. One of the best ways to build resilience is by cultivating a sense of gratitude. Now, I know this might sound a little cliche, but hear me out. Gratitude has a way of shifting your perspective, helping you see the good even in tough times. For example, on days when I felt too tired to exercise, I'd remind myself how lucky I was to have the ability to move at all. Instead of focusing on what I couldn't do, I focused on what I could, and that made all the difference. Another powerful way to build resilience is by surrounding yourself with supportive people. Humans are wired for connection, and having a strong support system can make a world of difference when you're working toward a goal. Whether it's a friend, a family member, or a community group, having someone to cheer you on and hold you accountable can keep you motivated. I remember meeting a couple named Jim and Diane who tackled their health journeys together. At 73 and 71, they decided to make some changes to boost their energy levels. They started walking together every morning, cooking healthier meals as a team, and encouraging each other when the going got tough. Having a partner made the process more enjoyable and helped them stay consistent, even on days when they didn't feel like it. Now let's talk about another important aspect of resilience: finding joy in the journey. It's easy to get caught up in the end goal, whether it's losing weight, having more energy, or feeling healthier overall. But if we focus too much on the destination, we risk missing out on the beauty of the process. The truth is, the journey itself is where the magic happens. It's in those small, everyday moments, the first sip of coffee in the morning, the laughter shared with a friend, the satisfaction of completing a walk, that we find true fulfillment. I'll never forget a conversation I had with a man named George, who was 76 at the time. George had struggled with chronic fatigue for years, but he eventually turned his health around by making gradual changes to his lifestyle. What struck me most about George was his attitude. He didn't view his journey as a chore or a burden. He saw it as an adventure. He told me, every day is a new opportunity to learn something, to try something different, and to enjoy the process. That mindset made all the difference for him. Instead of dreading his daily walks, he looked forward to them. Instead of seeing healthy eating as restrictive, he embraced it as a chance to experiment with new recipes. George's story is a reminder that when we approach life with curiosity and joy, even the toughest challenges become easier to navigate. As we continue to explore ways to reverse chronic fatigue and boost our energy, it's important to remember that progress isn't always linear. Some days will feel like a step forward, while others might feel like a step back. And that's okay. What matters most is how you respond to those ups and downs. Do you give up, or do you adapt and keep going? Resilience is about embracing the ebb and flow of life and trusting that, over time, your efforts will pay off. Before we move on to the next point, I want to leave you with this thought. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back from setbacks. It's about growing stronger through them. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become more resilient. And the more resilient you are, the better equipped you'll be to tackle whatever comes your way. So, as you work on building healthier habits, don't forget to nurture your resilience too. It's one of the most valuable tools you have. Now that we've talked about resilience and finding joy in the journey, let's shift our focus to something else that plays a crucial role in reversing chronic fatigue: staying mentally sharp. Many people don't realize how closely tied mental clarity is to physical energy. When your mind feels foggy or overwhelmed, it can drain your energy and make it harder to stay motivated. But there are simple, practical steps you can take to keep your brain sharp and your energy levels high. Let's dive into those next. Let's talk about staying mentally sharp, because here's the thing. Your brain and your body are deeply connected. When your mind feels sluggish or foggy, it can sap your physical energy faster than you might realize. Think about it. Have you ever had one of those days where you just can't seem to focus? Maybe you're forgetting little things, like where you left your keys, or struggling to stay present in conversations. Those mental hiccups aren't just frustrating, they can leave you feeling drained, even if you haven't done anything physically demanding. That's why keeping your brain sharp is such an important piece of the puzzle when it comes to reversing chronic fatigue. When I first started noticing that my memory wasn't as sharp as it used to be, I panicked a little. I thought, is this just part of getting older? But then I learned something that gave me hope. Our brains are incredibly adaptable no matter our age. With the right habits, we can actually improve our cognitive function and protect our mental clarity. And guess what? Many of the same strategies that boost your physical energy also help keep your mind sharp. It's all interconnected. One of the most effective ways to support your brain health is through mental stimulation. Just like your muscles need exercise to stay strong, your brain needs challenges to stay agile. This doesn't mean you have to solve complex math problems or learn a new language overnight, though if that sounds fun, go for it. It's about engaging in activities that make you think, problem solve, or use your creativity. For example, I started doing crossword puzzles and Sudoku a few years ago, not because I'm a genius at them, but because they're fun and they make me focus. Over time, I noticed that my ability to concentrate improved, and I felt more alert throughout the day. I want to share a story about a woman named Patricia that really highlights the power of mental stimulation. At 78, Patricia was worried about her memory. She'd always been a sharp thinker, but lately she found herself forgetting names and losing track of conversations. Instead of accepting it as an inevitable part of aging, she decided to take action. Patricia joined a local book club, which forced her to read regularly and engage in thoughtful discussions. She also started playing chess with her grandson, something she hadn't done since she was a child. To her surprise, these activities not only sharpened her mind, but also gave her a renewed sense of purpose and energy. Patricia's experience shows us that keeping your brain active isn't just good for your mental health, it can also give you a boost of vitality. Another key factor in maintaining mental sharpness is staying socially engaged. Loneliness and isolation can take a toll on both your brain and your energy levels. When we connect with others, it stimulates our minds and lifts our spirits. I remember meeting a man named Carl who was 82 and had recently lost his wife. He told me he felt like his world had shrunk, and with it, his energy and motivation. But then he joined a gardening club, where he met people who shared his love of plants and nature. Those social interactions reignited his passion for life, and he noticed that his mental clarity improved too. Carl's story reminds us that connection isn't just good for the heart, it's good for the brain too. Now, let's talk about the role of sleep in mental sharpness, because this is another area where the mind-body connection shines. If you're not getting enough quality sleep, your brain simply can't function at its best. Sleep is when your brain processes information, consolidates memories, and clears out toxins that build up during the day. Without enough rest, your cognitive abilities suffer, and so does your energy. That's why prioritizing sleep isn't just about feeling rested. It's about keeping your mind sharp and ready to tackle the day ahead. There's a man named Frank whose story perfectly illustrates this point. At 74, Frank was dealing with chronic fatigue and noticed that his memory was slipping too. His doctor suggested he focus on improving his sleep hygiene. Things like sticking to a regular bedtime routine, avoiding screens before bed, and creating a calming environment in his bedroom. At first, Frank was skeptical. How could better sleep make such a big difference? But after a few weeks of consistent effort, he noticed something amazing. Not only did he wake up feeling more refreshed, but his mind felt clearer too. He could focus better, remember details more easily, and approach challenges with a sharper mindset. Frank's experience shows us that sleep isn't just a passive activity, it's an active investment in both your physical and mental energy. Of course, nutrition plays a role here too. Your brain needs fuel just like your body does, and certain foods are particularly good for supporting cognitive function. Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids like salmon and walnuts are great for brain health. So are leafy greens, berries, and whole grains. I've made it a habit to include these foods in my diet, and I can honestly say I notice a difference in how clear-headed I feel. One of my favorite snacks now is a handful of blueberries with almonds. It's delicious, energizing, and brain-boosting all at once. As we move forward, let's talk about one final piece of the puzzle: emotional well-being. Your emotions have a profound impact on both your mental and physical energy. When you're feeling stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, it can cloud your thinking and drain your stamina. That's why taking care of your emotional health is just as important as staying physically active or eating well. In the next part, we'll explore some practical ways to nurture your emotional well-being and create a sense of balance in your life. Let's talk about emotional well-being, because here's the truth. How you feel emotionally has a direct impact on your energy levels. When you're stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, it doesn't just affect your mood, it drains your body and mind. On the flip side, when you're emotionally balanced, you feel lighter, more energized, and better equipped to handle whatever comes your way. The connection between emotions and energy is so powerful that ignoring it would be like trying to build a house without a foundation. So, let's dive into some practical ways to nurture your emotional well-being and create a sense of balance that supports both your mental clarity and physical vitality. One of the most important things I've learned is the value of self-compassion. We tend to be our own harshest critics, especially as we age. Maybe you beat yourself up for not being as active as you used to be, or for forgetting something small like a grocery list. But here's the thing, Being hard on yourself only adds to your stress, which in turn zaps your energy. Instead, try treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a close friend. For example, if you miss a workout or indulge in a treat you hadn't planned on eating, don't dwell on it. Acknowledge it, let it go, and remind yourself that tomorrow is a new day. Self-compassion isn't about letting yourself off the hook. It's about giving yourself permission to be human. I want to share a story about a woman named Helen who taught me so much about this. At 76, Helen had always been a perfectionist. She prided herself on her ability to juggle responsibilities and stay on top of everything. But as she got older, she found herself feeling increasingly overwhelmed. She was tired all the time, and no matter what she did, she couldn't seem to shake the exhaustion. One day, a counselor suggested she practice self-compassion. At first, Helen thought it sounded too easy to make a difference, but she decided to give it a try. Whenever she made a mistake or felt frustrated with herself, she'd pause and say, "It's okay, you're doing the best you can." Over time, Helen noticed something remarkable. Her stress levels decreased, and her energy improved. By being kinder to herself, she created space for joy and resilience to flourish. Another key aspect of emotional well-being is finding time for activities that bring you happiness and fulfillment. Life gets busy, and it's easy to put your own needs on the back burner. But taking time to do things that light you up is essential for maintaining your energy and emotional balance. This could be anything: gardening, painting, listening to music, or spending time with loved ones. The key is to prioritize these moments, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. I remember meeting a man named Tom who was 80 and struggling with low energy. He told me he hadn't done anything just for fun in years. On a whim, he decided to pick up an old hobby: woodworking. At first, he only worked on small projects, but over time, he found himself looking forward to those creative sessions. Not only did they bring him joy, but they also gave him a renewed sense of purpose and energy. Tom's story reminds us that hobbies aren't just a luxury, they're a vital part of staying emotionally healthy. Now, let's talk about the importance of setting boundaries. Many seniors find themselves stretched thin, whether it's caring for grandchildren, helping out family members, or volunteering in their communities. While these roles can be fulfilling, they can also become overwhelming if you don't set limits. Saying no isn't always easy, especially if you're used to putting others first. But protecting your time and energy is crucial for maintaining your well-being. A woman named Linda shared her experience with me, and it really stuck with me. At 72, Linda was constantly saying yes to everyone. Her kids, her neighbors, her church group. She was exhausted and felt like she had nothing left for herself. Then one day, she realized she needed to start prioritizing her own needs. She began politely declining requests that didn't align with her priorities and carving out time for rest and relaxation. To her surprise, setting boundaries not only gave her more energy, but also deepened her relationships. People respected her honesty, and she felt more present when she did choose to help. Of course, nurturing your emotional well-being also means addressing negative emotions when they arise. It's normal to feel sad, frustrated, or anxious from time to time, but bottling up those feelings can take a toll on your energy. Instead, find healthy ways to process them. Journaling, talking to a trusted friend, or even just sitting quietly and acknowledging your emotions can make a big difference. I've found that writing down my thoughts helps me release tension and gain clarity. There's something about putting pen to paper that makes worries feel less overwhelming. A man named Roger, who was 79, discovered this too. After losing his wife, he struggled with grief and loneliness. Writing in a journal became his outlet, allowing him to express his feelings and reflect on his progress. Over time, he noticed that his emotional heaviness began to lift, and his energy returned. As we continue to explore ways to reverse chronic fatigue and boost our energy, it's important to remember that emotional well-being isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. What works for one person might not work for another, and that's okay. The key is to experiment, listen to your body and mind, and find strategies that resonate with you. Whether it's practicing self-compassion, pursuing hobbies, setting boundaries, or processing emotions, every step you take toward emotional balance brings you closer to feeling your best. Before we move on to the next point, I want to leave you with this thought. Emotional well-being isn't a destination, it's a journey. Some days will feel easier than others, and that's perfectly normal. What matters most is that you keep showing up for yourself, even in small ways. Because when you nurture your emotional health, you create a strong foundation for lasting energy and vitality. Now that we've talked about emotional well-being, let's shift our focus to one final, critical piece of the puzzle: the power of purpose. Having a sense of purpose doesn't just give your life meaning, it fuels your energy and motivates you to keep going even when the road gets tough. Let's explore how you can discover and cultivate your own sense of purpose, no matter your age or stage of life. Let's talk about purpose, because here's the thing. Having a sense of purpose is like fuel for your soul. It gives you direction, motivation, and a reason to wake up each day with energy and enthusiasm. When you have something meaningful to work toward, it doesn't just lift your spirits, it also boosts your physical vitality. Purpose isn't reserved for the young or the busy. It's something we can all cultivate, no matter our age or circumstances. And when you tap into that sense of purpose, you'll find that it has a way of making everything else, movement, nutrition, sleep, stress management, fall into place more naturally. For me, discovering my purpose came as a bit of a surprise. After years of focusing on work and family, I found myself wondering, what's next? I thought maybe this was just part of getting older, that life slows down and you settle into a quieter routine. But then I realized something important. Purpose doesn't have to come from big achievements or grand gestures. It can be found in the small, everyday things that bring you joy and fulfillment. For example, I started volunteering at a local community center, teaching seniors simple exercises to help them stay active. At first, I didn't think much of it, I just wanted to give back. But over time, I noticed how much energy and satisfaction I got from helping others. It gave me a renewed sense of meaning and reminded me that I still had so much to offer. I want to share a story about a man named Arthur that really drives this point home. At 83, Arthur felt like he'd lost his spark. He'd retired years ago, his kids were grown and living far away, and he spent most of his days watching TV. One day, a neighbor invited him to join a group that visited nursing homes to play music for residents. Arthur hadn't played his guitar in decades, but he decided to give it a try. To his amazement, those visits became the highlight of his week. Seeing the smiles on people's faces and hearing their applause reignited something inside him. He told me, "It's not just about the music, it's about knowing that I'm making a difference." Arthur's story shows us that purpose can be found in the simplest acts of kindness, and it has a way of breathing new life into everything we do. Finding your purpose doesn't have to be complicated. It could be as simple as mentoring someone younger, starting a blog to share your wisdom, or even dedicating time to a cause you care about. Maybe your purpose is closer to home, spending more quality time with your grandchildren, tending to a garden, or creating art that inspires others. Whatever it is, the key is to focus on what lights you up and makes you feel alive. When you align your actions with your values and passions, you create a ripple effect that touches every area of your life. Now, as we wrap up this journey together, I want to leave you with a message of hope. Reversing chronic fatigue and reclaiming your energy isn't about making massive changes overnight. It's about taking small, consistent steps that add up over time. Whether it's moving your body, nourishing yourself with healthy food, prioritizing rest, managing stress, nurturing your emotional well-being, or finding your purpose, each step brings you closer to feeling stronger, healthier, and more vibrant than ever before. And here's the best part. You don't have to do this alone. Share what you've learned today with a friend, a family member, or someone in your community who might benefit from these lessons. Imagine the impact you could have by helping others discover their own path to better health and strength. Together, we can create a ripple effect of positivity and resilience that extends far beyond ourselves. So, go ahead, send this video to someone you care about. Let's spread the word that it's never too late to live with joy and vitality. As we close, I want to remind you of something truly powerful. Your age does not define your potential. You are capable of incredible growth, transformation, and joy at any stage of life. Every step you take toward improving your health is a gift to yourself, to your loved ones, and to the world around you. Here's to ending your years not with exhaustion, but with energy, strength, and a heart full of gratitude. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Remember, you've got this. Keep showing up, keep trying, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself, because the best is yet to come.